Let's move on from this. Let's talk about abortion.
Sure.
Because we have this story in the news. Well, we had the story. We'll talk about Starbucks, and then we'll go into my tweet so we can talk about the meat and potatoes here. Starbucks will cover travel expenses for employees' abortion and gender change treatments. Starbucks has announced that they will be covering eligible travel costs for employees and their family members to get abortions or gender change treatments if the services are not available within 100 miles of where they live. Quote, in 2018, Starbucks broadened its health insurance options for transgender partners to not only include gender assignment surgery, which had been covered since 2013, but also a host of procedures that were previously considered cosmetic, such as breast reduction and augmentation surgery, facial feminization, hair transplants, and more, the company said in a press release. So this is, Tesla did the same thing, actually. Tesla announced that if their employees need an abortion, they'll cover the costs. I think Amazon did this as well. But let's talk about, this is the news story to kick off what I actually want to get into, so forgive me for the ridiculous segue. But I have a tweet here.
Sure.
I said, what happens if a woman is on the way to get an abortion at 8 months, but goes into labor in the lobby of the abortion clinic and accidentally delivers the baby before it could be terminated? So let me explain the backstory as to why I tweeted this. I was having dinner with a friend in New York, and they said that they were pro-choice. And I said, do you agree with abortion after viability? Viability, of course, is defined as the point at which the baby can survive on its own. He said, well, no, of course not. Right. But like in the first trimester, in the first several weeks, like it's the mother's decision. The government doesn't have a right. And I said, OK. But you say pro-choice, right? So do you think that if like would you favor the Democrats' position? And he assumed, yes, I would. I think the Republicans want to ban it and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, they do. But the Democrats tried passing a bill that would legalize in many states termination of the baby at up to 9 months, up to the point of birth. In Colorado, they've already legalized it. Kathy Tran in Virginia tried passing a bill. Ralph Northam famously talked about it. So the bill proposed by Democrats that was recently voted down does include a provision, H.R. 3755, that says in Section 4, Paragraph 9, Section 4 of course starts by saying a patient has a corresponding right to receive such services without any of the following limitations or requirements. Section 9 says, a prohibition on abortion after fetal viability, when in the good faith medical judgment of the treating healthcare provider, continuation of the pregnancy would pose a risk to the pregnant patient's life or health. I showed this article to my friend and said, I have a question. If the baby is viable, why kill it? And he said, well, you wouldn't. And I said, what would you do? He's like, I don't know. And I said, okay. And he was like, no, maybe they're saying just end the pregnancy. And I was like, right. But that's not, induced labor is not abortion, is it? Maybe. Is that what you're saying? Because if you're saying induced labor or C-section is abortion, I think we're in agreement here. You can end the pregnancy, but preserve the life of the baby. The definition of abortion, according to Merriam-Webster, though, is the termination of a pregnancy, following or directly relating to the death of the baby after the fact. So I don't understand why they would have to create a law and try to pass it that would legalize abortion at all. If a woman is 8 months pregnant and the doctor says, if you continue this pregnancy, you will die, well, then they deliver the baby. They have to remove the baby, right? Why kill the baby in the process when you can just remove it?
Can you read that for me one more time?
So the important first section of Section 4A, General Rule. A healthcare provider has a statutory right under this act to provide abortion services and may provide abortion services, and that provider's patient has a corresponding right to receive such services without any of the following limitations or requirements. Section 9 reads, a prohibition on abortion after fetal viability when, in the good faith medical judgment of the treating healthcare provider, continuation of the pregnancy would pose a risk to the pregnant patient's life or health.
Sure. Okay. In terms of, and it even says in the good faith, what was it? The good faith medical decision of the doctor. Right. If you're carrying a baby up to 8 months, I mean, you want that baby. If it's a situation where it's the mother's health, then I mean, they wanted the baby.
Well, so if the woman's at 8 months pregnant, that's why I tweeted this.
Right.
And
that's a bit different from what you tweeted.
A woman is at 8 months pregnant. 8 months. So I'm saying the reason I tweeted that is because if a woman is at 8 months pregnant and she decides to terminate the pregnancy, aborting the baby.
No, you don't. At 8 months pregnant, you don't decide to terminate. You have to terminate because of medical reasons. Something's going on.
So it's not a woman's decision.
What are you talking about?
Is it a woman's decision to terminate the pregnancy or not?
I mean, for her own health, I mean, it's between her and her doctor, right?
But are you saying it's not her decision?
What do you?
I said if a woman decides to terminate her pregnancy.
It's not like she just up and decided to go.
I didn't say she up and decided. I'm saying if a woman decides to
terminate her pregnancy. Because of medical issues.
For any reason.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
but I think you have to add because of medical reasons. No, because it's important to be very specific that people are not carrying a fetus and for 8 months and then just going, I don't know. That's not happening. There's already restrictions that say there's already restrictions that say at that moment you about
Gosnell, right? Mm-hmm. Women were getting elective abortions at 9 months.
We're talking,
but we don't need to argue edge cases. Let me go back to my point.
We don't need to.
I want to make a point here because health of the mother.
So no. Hold on. I'm sorry, man. I don't want to deviate from the point because I have a sincere question based on the law. An abortion is legally defined as terminating a pregnancy of or relating to the ending the baby's life. The baby dies in the process, right? If you're saying, okay.
Well, abortions also happen when the baby has already died. There's been a miscarriage.
Of course,
yeah,
right. So let me. I read you the law. It would legalize a woman for the reasons of health and good faith to terminate the baby up to 9 months because of its viability. Viability extends from 21 weeks until the point of birth. So this bill would actually legalize in many states a baby just before birth being killed, like aborted, right?
For medical reasons. If there's
what
necessary
medical reason?
Well, if a mother's life is in danger, or if there's something wrong with something's wrong with the fetus.
Well, so it's talking about the life of the patient's life. We're not talking about the fetus. Something's wrong with the fetus. I get it. Like the baby's already dead.
Right.
Here's my question.
No one's carrying a baby for 8 months and then has to go.
That's not an argument. If the doctor is saying no one does a thing is not real because some people did and some people don't, and we're talking about the law. The law says if a woman is pregnant and for any reason, do you believe that for any reason a woman has a right to terminate her pregnancy?
Me personally, yes. I believe it's a woman's body.
Up to 9 months?
What's that?
Up to 9
months, yeah.
So you think a woman who's pregnant with a baby at 9 months, she can say, snip its neck?
I mean, we have laws that basically say they can't just up, snip, and snack. I mean, that's a really weird way to put it.
Do you think so? Do you know how they perform abortions on late term?
Yes.
Where they send the forceps in and cut the spinal column? You think that's okay for a baby who's 8 months and 2 weeks in a woman's womb?
But they're not doing. No one is just electively doing that. You just said you're not going to talk about edge cases, and then you're going around talking about edge cases.
You used. I mean, when you said no one does that, I'm going to give you an example of it happening. I'm not trying to argue that you are. So the issue is, I'm not talking. Should it be legal? You said yes, right? Here's my question. Let me ask you the question, and please, if the woman is told by a doctor, if you continue with the pregnancy, you will die.
Right.
Should they kill the baby?
At 8 months?
Yes.
If the mother is told that she will die, and there's no way at 8 months, we're talking 8 months, this woman wants the baby, they'll do whatever they can to save the baby.
That's not what the law says. The law allows for the termination of the baby.
It says the good faith. It says the doctors, and the doctor.
I'm not arguing the woman's not sick. If a woman is sick at 8 months, the baby is viable. It says after fetal viability. And the doctor says, if you continue with the pregnancy, your health is at risk. Do you believe it should be legal at that point to kill the baby?
But that's not happening. You're talking
yes or no. I'm not asking. I'm saying yes or no. Do you think it should be legal? They're trying to legalize it. Doesn't matter if it's happening. They're trying to legalize it. Yes or no?
They're trying to legalize the fact that women at 8 months pregnant could find out something is horribly wrong with the fetus, where it will die as soon as it's born, be in pain, have
Can you answer the question or not?
I'm answering the question to you
No, because you're saying something I agree with you on and no one disagrees with you on. Everyone wants to preserve the health of the mother.
Sure.
Why kill the baby in the process?
They're not killing the baby in the process.
Why legalize the killing of the baby in the process?
They're not legalizing.
Yes, they are. Read the law. I read it to you how many times? After fetal viability, the baby can survive on its own. They can perform an abortion if the mother's health is at risk. Why kill the baby? Why not include in that all efforts must be made to save the baby's life?
It's right there when it says the exact wording. I don't have it in front of me because I have what the doctor said. The good faith efforts of the doctor. The doctor's looking out for
the patient, not the baby. Abortion is the termination of the baby. If it wasn't about legalizing the killing of the baby, they would say perform a C-section or induce labor. When what this is right here. It says they cannot prohibit abortion. Late-term abortion is a practice with legal definitions where the baby is killed, its limbs are removed, and it's sucked out. If the baby is viable, why not just induce labor or perform a C-section? In fact, when Hassan quoted my tweet, that's what his followers said. Apparently, they disagree with you.
I mean, if they can do that, they would do that at 8 months for sure. Certainly.
Then why legalize?
Why? I just explained to you, because it needs to happen sometimes. For the health of the mother or for the child.
Killing the baby.
Yes.
It needs to happen.
If there's something terribly, horribly wrong with the child, where it's going to grow up and immediately die or be in horrible pain for hours before dying anyway.
Would you agree with a provision added to this bill saying all efforts must be made to preserve the life of any baby after viability?
I mean, you're asking for exactly what's there, but if that makes you happy, then I mean, sure, why not?
But that's not what's there.
So we agree. We completely agree, 100%. I mean, except for you saying a woman should decide on late-term abortion. I don't agree with that.
Okay.
But so we agree this bill should have an extended provision to protect the life of the child.
I think it's there. That's my opinion. I think it says it right there.
Which part do you think says it? They must preserve the life of the baby.
We've already went over this 100 times. It says right in the. You think the doctor is not looking out for both the mother and the child? They are.
I think oftentimes the doctor's looking out. They're not really looking out for either. I think in many cases they're trying to make money. So
that's just
partial. I have numbers for you. I have
though.
numbers for you. Partial birth abortionist John McMahon says the primary reason given for those requesting a late-term abortion is depression. The Guttmacher Institute, which is a pro-choice think tank, said that they surveyed women obtaining late-term abortions. They found that only about 1% of second and third trimester abortions are performed for fetal anomalies, which is another way of saying like eugenics. There's a disability, so we kill them. One third of the women said that they misjudged how far along they were. 1/4 said they found it hard to arrange an earlier abortion. 14% that they were afraid to tell their parents or their partner, and the rest gave reasons such as taking their time to decide or waiting for a change in their relationship.
I will also add, the CDC defines abortion as a termination of a pregnancy that does not result in live birth. So my question is, why do the Democrats try to legalize the killing of a viable baby without any protections?
I mean, I don't know what you're saying. I mean, I'm telling you right there. It says right there exactly.
But you're in favor of late-term abortion.
I think it's up to a mother, a woman, and her doctor.
So I actually agree with the initial Roe v. Wade. I guess, I mean, have you read Roe v. Wade?
Of course, yeah.
So you know about the limitations on
the
second
trimester, yeah.
So you know about the limitations?
Of course, yes.
But so do you agree with that?
What do you mean? That's the law of the land for now.
So you just told me that you think a woman should be able to choose to terminate the baby at 9 months.
No, I didn't. I said the decision of what happens to a pregnant woman is up to her and her doctor. That's all I'm telling you.
Let me ask you a question. If there was a baby on a table and someone grabbed a pair of, bolt cutters and put it to its neck, would you stop them?
You're talking about a live person, right?
I'm talking about a baby just born, right on the spot.
Right. That's a person.
What if the baby was coming out of the woman and then they snip its neck?
What? But no one's doing that.
Gosnell did it. Don't give me an absolute and then tell me not to make an edge point. Don't say no one did it when someone did it. The point is, I'm asking you moral questions on where your position is so I can understand why you would support these positions, because I don't understand. So, if the baby was delivered, you're saying it can't be killed. Now do you understand my tweet? If the woman was intending to abort the baby at 8 months and went into an early labor while she was going to the abortion clinic and the baby was born right there in the lobby, could she not kill it now?
Well, if she had the baby as she was going to get her 8-month abortion, there's something horribly wrong with that baby. I hope it's not in pain because she was going to.
Can you answer the question?
I'm talking about it right now. I said,
okay.
Oh, can she, if the baby is born? No, because that's a person.
So now let's move backwards. The baby is a person the moment it's born, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What if the baby is halfway out?
Halfway out.
So do you know they do late-term abortions at the point of birth? Partial birth abortions. The baby is coming out and they kill it as it comes out. Okay? That's literally what they do. Bro, I believe women have the right to choose within the first trimester and partly into the second trimester because the government can't mandate someone else give their body to someone else. The challenge I have as a traditional liberal and social liberal is when you start introducing the rights of secondary persons to the equation, like Roe v. Wade actually stated. The privacy rights of the baby enter at the point of viability. These questions are difficult to answer. So my position has always been safe, legal, rare, first trimester discretion of the woman, even though I really don't like the idea of abortion as contraception.
So you like where it is right now?
That's a hard thing to say considering all the states have different laws.
No, I think it's a very easy thing to say because you said safe, legal, and rare, right?
Which states? I don't like where it's not, because Colorado legalized 9-month partial birth abortion. Kathy Tran in Virginia tried doing the same. I don't know where they went on that. And Ralph Northam actually said the baby would be delivered and then they would decide or have a discussion.
That's not what he said. He
said they would have a discussion.
He was talking about there's context right before where he said that if there was something horribly wrong with the baby, like the baby's born in a vegetative state and is not going to live a life, that it's not.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that he didn't say that. He said,
but you didn't say that he did either.
So for one, we've played the video multiple times. What he said was this typically. So he's asked by the presenter. Kathy Tran presented a bill that would legalize abortion up to the point of birth. He said typically this happens in instances of severe disability or deformity, and I will tell you what would happen. The baby would be delivered. It would be resuscitated if that's what they decided. It would be made comfortable, and then a discussion would happen. So my issue there is I disagree. I mean, if a baby is alive, I think every effort must be made to try and save its life. I think if a homeless person is bleeding and they fall onto the stairs of a hospital, the hospital absolutely must save that person's life. The same thing as a baby that's born with deformities or otherwise. I don't think you can see a person and be like, they're dying, we should kill them, whether it's a baby or otherwise. So the issue here is, I'm pro-choice.
What was your feelings on the Terry Schiavo case?
Oh, I don't have strong opinions on that one. I mean, for one,
You just don't care.
Well, I didn't say I don't care.
Right.
It's a difficult moral question I don't have the answers to.
Okay, so who did you more to lean towards there?
I'd probably say we would lean towards preserving the life of Terry Schiavo.
Even though that's not what she wanted.
Well, if that was the case, I don't know enough about it. If she signed a do not resuscitate, I'd say
she told her husband that she did not want to be left in a vegetative state.
Then that's her right with signing a DNR, absolutely. Then.
But
Sure.
This was according to her husband, and there's no formal paperwork, and her parents said, we will take care of her.
Then you can't do it.
Yeah.
If she had a DNR, I respect the DNR. It's her life, it's her choice. Without a legal do not resuscitate, then you have to defer the next of kin. As for abortions,
the husband would be that.
Well, right. I mean, I'm not the boss of people. I'm not the king.
No. Because the thing that Seamus just said, and then you agreed with, was that if she is in a vegetative state,
mm-hmm.
and the husband says that I was told by her that that's it, and then he brought up how there's no proof of that. The parents wanted her alive. They said they would take care of her. They're not the next of kin, though. The husband is. The husband has the ultimate decision of her of her care.
Right.
Yes.
I agree.
That's not.
I'm adding the context because he said if she signed paperwork, and so I'm pointing out that was not the situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just making sure, just being 100% clear here.
So social liberals is a reference to.
So wait. Do you think that in the case of a child's health, that and they are not adults, so they can't make decisions for themselves? Do you think the parent can make that decision for a child's health?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if a baby is born in a vegetative state. Mm-hmm. Can the parent decide to put it out of its misery and not let it just die a slow, agonizing death and say, I am the next of kin. This is not how this life should be. We should just end that life and life support.
No.
You don't think that should be
the
case?
baby wasn't involved in a traumatic injury. Right, so there's questions.
They were born with a life altering, could not even, perhaps won't live. Yeah, and you're saying it's okay for them to be in a vegetative state for who knows how long. They likely will die in a few months, maybe even make it a year, just in the hospital.
Yep.
You're saying
that
add
anything you want to it. I think there's a difference between someone who suffered a
so
traumatic injury.
You don't think parents have the right to do what's best for their children?
Well, let's distinguish.
Who said that?
You just said that.
No, let's distinguish.
The baby isn't the best for the baby.
Yes, that is. That's a parent's decision. If the baby is in a vegetative state and will never have any quality of life, the humane, caring, loving thing for a parent to do.
Now who's arguing edge cases?
What are you talking about?
I said now who's arguing
No, because you brought up the Ralph Northam thing. I gave you my
answer. The answer is no.
You brought up the Ralph Northam thing.
I gave you the answer.
So you don't think
I clearly don't agree with the idea that a baby is born with deformity. You kill it. I clearly
we're not talking about just
we're not talking about an individual.
We're not talking about with like
injury.
a limp arm or something. We're talking about a quality of life disability where they will never be able to have any quality of life.
Right. I can say the same thing over and over again. I believe that we should not allow doctors to kill a baby, regardless. I think every effort should be made to preserve the life of the baby.
Okay, so you don't think that people should have a right to die with dignity at all, basically?
Kathy Newman, we're not talking about that. If a woman,
I think it all really.
If a woman like Terry Schiavo suffers a stroke, a disease, she's older and later in life, and she has the ability to make a cognitive decision, or her next of kin does, and it's the issue of, do we pull her off life support? That's different from a newborn baby in a different legal context.
But the legal context is the parents have the full right to do what's best for their child.
I think
this is a conservative position too, by the way, in terms of parents having the right to.
How many times I gotta tell you I'm a liberal?
Okay, all right.
So let me make a point.
Okay.
The issue. Well, go ahead.
Well, because we have to distinguish between two things. There are situations where a person is injured to the point where they require extraordinary measures in order to stay alive. So we're not talking about, food, water, basic treatment. We're talking about things like being hooked up to an insane amount of machines, things that are incredibly burdensome. There is a difference between a person in that situation who's saying, without all of these unnatural means, I would die, so pull the plug, and saying, this person's alive, but they're suffering, so we're going to kill them. There's a difference between pulling the plug in a life support situation where that person requires extraordinary means to stay alive, and a person who is alive and is sustained, but you're deciding to go out of your way to kill them. Those are two different situations.
Yeah, that's a good point. But also, I think the point you're making too is if the baby was in a situation where it was dying. Let's say the baby's born with a hole in its heart, which happens, and it's bleeding too fast for them to try and surgically repair. My answer is repair it. Let's say a baby's born without a brain. It's happened before.
Yep.
I do not. I think the issue is, I'll tell you why I take the pro-choice stance, the traditional liberal one, not the modern liberal one. I don't believe the government has a right to dictate a person give their body or blood to another person. And there are questions of privacy and there are questions of government overreach. However, when another person enters the equation, you have one person sharing two bodies. That's why I'm like, so second and third trimester abortions are where things get risky. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.